Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So in this video, I have done a lot of thinking about if you have elderly or disabled people in your home or in your group, and how to prepare for that. So that's what this video is going to be about, because I know a lot of people are taking care of, you know, either their elderly parents or disabled parents or disabled children, or maybe you are disabled. And I had done a video on this like way back, and I want to, I guess, do this again, because I don't want to discount people that are elderly or disabled, because there's still a lot of things that you or they can do to prepare. But I think kind of narrowing it down to specific things might be really helpful. So that's what I want to focus on in this video. Also in this video, like I did in the last one with the plantain salve, in this one, I'm going to show you the attempt at making the homemade toilet paper, which was a complete failure. I'm going to lay that out there. I'm going to show you the basic steps to it, but how it didn't turn out right. Okay. It was our first time. It ended up almost like those cardboard egg cartons kind of material. So I really have to figure out what went wrong, what I have to do different. We're not going to give up on it, but I'll talk about that in the video. So at the end of this main video, you will see, again, 3 segments of video that shows how we made it. I did make a mistake I noticed in those videos, is I kept saying that we had our toilet paper soaking, right? It's newspaper, not toilet paper. We did not reuse toilet paper. I want to make that clear. We used newspaper and soaked it, and then you'll see the rest of the video. But it ended up like an egg carton. It was a complete failure. But I still want to show this to you because it does show the basics. And then I'm hoping this week at some point, I'm hoping maybe this week or next week, where I'm going to redo it and hopefully just kind of keep getting it right. You know, all of this is a process. Can never get it right on the first try, right? So that will be at the end of this video on how to make homemade toilet paper, but how we absolutely failed at it. Okay, so this video, like I said, was about elderly and disabled. So I know that there are a couple of you here that are very, you know, you're very loyal to this channel, and I so appreciate all of you. I really do. And I know that some of you have expressed concerns about having either the elderly with you or disabled with you, or you yourself are disabled. So I want to dedicate this specifically to you guys out there. So the first question that often comes up is whether to bug in or bug out. What I would say to that, number one, is you need to prepare to stay, but also have a plan to go, okay? Now, this, obviously, there's many variables to this. You know, if you live in a city versus in a rural community, that is going to have more influence on whether you want to bug it in or bug out, okay? If it were me and I was in a city, I would get the heck out of there as soon as I could, but that's just me. You may not have that opportunity, especially if you have someone that is disabled, not easy mobility. But what I want to do is give you some tips about 15 tips. And I'll try to make this really brief. But you need to prepare to stay in. But you may have to bug out depending on your own circumstance. You know, I can't tell you which one is better to do because I don't know your individual circumstances. So the first thing is to focus on your abilities, but also recognize your limitations. And that's with everybody, right? We all have to know what we can in reality do, but we also have to know in reality what our limitations are. Okay? Just because you are labeled disabled does not mean that you don't have skills or abilities that can help you in an SHTF event. So I want you to focus on the abilities and then along with that recognize your limitations. The second thing is try to network with family or friends in the first 24 hours. So if an SHTF happens and you have other family members or really close friends that you know will help you out in an emergency, right? Get in contact with those friends or family members within the first 24 hours and make that decision about whether to stay or whether you're going to have to go and how to go safely. In order to do that, you need to have a way to hear what's going on outside. Okay, and the ability to communicate with people. So having some kind of a scanner or a CB, if you are licensed in ham radio operations, that can be kind of difficult to do. A two-way radio, even walkie-talkie, something. A way to communicate with other people and a way to hear what's going on. Remember that corded phones still work even when the power is out. So having a corded phone, not just in your home, but in the home of the person or people that you want to contact, could make a big difference for you. But you need that ability because you need to know what's going on. You need to be able to communicate with your family or friends within that first 24 hours. But you need a way to do that. Next is having the extra medical equipment you might need. So this might include your medications. It might mean having backup battery systems for your CPAPs or, you know, any, my mind just went blank, but any of these medical things that you might need that require batteries or electricity, make sure that you have backup medical supplies for that stuff. Okay? So if you have somebody that's in a wheelchair, okay, in one of those electric wheelchairs, have a backup battery for that. If they're on oxygen, have extra tanks, have extra batteries for that. Whatever you need to do, have that backup stuff. The next thing is add extra locks on your doors and windows. Now, if you're renting an apartment or you're renting a home or you're renting a duplex, whatever your situation is, at least have them available. In an SHTF, your landlord isn't going to come and check to make sure that you didn't install these. Does that make sense? So have extra deadbolts, have extra locks, extra chains, all of that available that you can put on your door and windows in the case of an SHTF. Okay. Replace all of your lock plates with the 3.5-inch screws. So your door plate, take that out. Usually the screws are only this big. That's easy to kick in. Replace all of those with those 3.5-inch screws. Your landlord's not going to notice a difference. But that's going to make it harder for any person to just be able to kick in that door easily. It does buy you some time. Check all of your doors, your external, your points of entry. You want to make sure, and this includes even on like a garage, you know, mainly your garage and your place of living. Make sure that your hinges are on the inside and not the outside. Okay? Because if your hinges are on the outside, whether it's your home or your garage, all somebody has to do is take an awl and a hammer, and they can take those pins out really easily. Okay? And they can get right in. You want to make sure that all of those door pin hinges are on the inside, not the outside. The next thing is have hammers, screws, nails, screwdriver. Have all of that readily accessible to you. If you can't leave, if you cannot bug out, if you can't get a hold of anybody, SHTF has happened, you're in the middle of the city, you can take apart furniture like your bookshelves, and you can use that to cover windows. But you have to have the means to do that. So you need your screwdriver, your screws, hammer, nails, whatever it is you need to use. But you can take apart furniture, small end tables. Take them apart. Use that wood to cover your windows. Okay? If you are in a city or a space that does not allow you to have a weapon, a boomstick, and freedom seeds, look around your space and see what else you have. See what else you have to defend yourself. A baseball bat, a cane, knives, big knives, right? Find things that you have in your space that you can use to defend yourself, and then figure out how to accurately use them. Like, you know, are you just going to swing it around and hope for the best? Or do you know where the best place to strike someone is? You have things around your home that you can use. If you drink wine, you can use a wine bottle or a beer bottle, right? Almost every kitchen has a knife. Buy a baseball bat. Find these things around your home that you can use to defend yourself if you are not able to either use or have boomstick and freedom seeds. Only stock foods that you can easily open and carry. So there's a lot of canned goods right now that don't have the pop tops on them, the flip tops. You need to make sure that you have can openers, okay, more than one. I'm sorry, but those cheapy can openers, they break so easily. You want to make sure that you have foods that you can get into really easily and that are lightweight that you can carry. Okay? And this is partly because if you have to bug out and you have someone or you are disabled or elderly, you are not going to be able to pack a lot of food in a bag that can hang around the back of a wheelchair. So you need foods that are very lightweight, like your bagged, ready-to-eat tuna or salmon, right? Small tins of tuna fish, any of that kind of stuff. It has to be easy for you to open, But it also has to be lightweight for you to carry in the event that you have to bug out. You also have to have food that is very easy for you to prepare. So if you live in a city and you have someone that is disabled or elderly, or you are, you want to make sure that you can, if you need to, cook your food in a way that's very easy for you to do, that is less likely to cause a bigger event for you, right? So these small propane burners is a great choice. Candles that you can put under a small screen or something that you can set a pot on top of to cook food. Find ways to prepare that food that you can do in your apartment. Those small propane burners are going to heat your food faster and probably be less detrimental to your apartment. Okay? So you just want to find those things, those ways to do that. The next thing is have a way to filter your water. So especially if you live in the city or you have city water, you are going to have a way to filter that water. Providing the water's still on, it doesn't mean that it's going to be safe. So I would recommend that you boil your water, but you definitely need a way to filter your water. And talking about water also, it's not as easy in an apartment to store up a lot of water. But they have these, you know, these water tablets. They have these other things, these other ways that you can get water. Do you have a window that you could open to collect rainwater, for example? Figure out things that you can do to get water and purify that water that doesn't take up a lot of space in your living area. Use your windows to charge solar lights or solar panels. So if you, no matter where you live, you have windows. One solar panel could be enough to keep a battery charged that, for example, might charge your CPAP. Okay? So find a window. Figure out when the best sunlight times are in that window that you could actually just put one solar panel in. Invest in it because it's going to be worth it in an SHTF. Okay? You can also grow vegetables or, you know, mainly vegetables. You can grow herbs and vegetables in front of a window that gets good sunlight. You know, south facing especially, west facing depending on where you are. Use the light to your advantage. Okay? The last thing that I have is that if you have someone who is disabled or elderly and let's say that they're in a wheelchair and, you know, you have to help them get on a toilet seat. Okay, we have to be real about our prepping. The best thing to do in that situation is to either get a commode or you can use your actual toilet and get plastic liner bags that you can put inside of those. And then get kitty litter or lime, something that you can put inside of that, right? They have these turn waste to gel packets that you can buy. But then what you do is once that liner bag is as full as what you can carry, what you have the ability to carry, is, you know, knot it up, chunk it out your window, throw it in the trash, whatever, right? But then you have a sustainable way to use the bathroom as well. And that will work if you have somebody that's disabled in your home that, you know, has certain ways of going to the bathroom. See, a lot of people don't like to talk about this stuff. So here I'm going to get off on my tangent for a second. A lot of people don't like to talk about the personal hygiene stuff. The reality is women are going to get periods. We're all going to have to go to the bathroom, right? We all have to stay hygienically clean to prevent infections. It's a part of life, right? So don't be afraid to look at those kinds of things. Like we're looking into right now, one of the things our group is working on is how to make pads for women's periods that are as absorbent and clean and everything as regular store-bought pads. Because if you have a long-term SHTF and you don't have that available anymore, you have to find a way to adapt to that or things that you can use as an alternative. Don't be afraid to look at those things. Look at all of that. Okay? But these are some ways that if you have elderly or disabled people, either in your group, in your family, in your home, or you are yourself, it doesn't mean that you just have to give up. You have abilities and skills that you can use in an SHTF. And most of these things that I've talked about cost little to nothing. Okay? Look at the furniture that you have. Start thinking about how you can take that apart and use it to cover your windows if need be. Invest in some of those extra door locks. There are brackets that you can buy that, actually I'm going to show you because I have them. So hang on one second. So this right here is a bracket. Okay? It's just this bracket. And it's screwed into our door jamb. And then what we have is a 2x4 that goes into the brackets, one on each side of the door. And that even reinforces that door. And like I said, in an SHTF, your landlord's not going to come around checking to see what you're doing or what you're not doing in your apartment. So have some of these things available that you can use to protect yourself. Okay? I hope that this helped you. Please put comments in the section below. Give me some other ideas. Give other people some other ideas of what you've thought about if you're in that situation. Okay? And remember, at the end of this video, I'm going to show how our toilet paper, first time making it, was a complete failure. But I have to show that as well as these successes. So, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. I will have 2 more videos coming out very shortly. So, stay safe. Stay vigilant. And God bless. Okay, so our toilet paper has been soaking for 24 hours in the buckets of water. Then I took, I don't know, probably about 3 cups of it, and I've blended and mixed it. It looks really nasty, but so this is the pulp that we're going to make the toilet paper out of. As you can see, it's like really super pulpy. Okay, like there should be no big chunks in it. Okay, so we've done that. Now I'm going to add it to the screens. Okay, so I've got my screen in the, and it's actually in the water. And I'm going to take some of this pulp and put it right on the screen in the water. And we're going to kind of squish it out. I know it seems weird that it's like in the water, but that's what they say to do, so I'm just following their instructions. We don't want it super thick because obviously it's homemade toilet paper. You don't want it uber thick.
So you're putting it back in water?
Alright, so I put what I think is enough in there, and then I'm going to lift it out of the water. We're let as much water drain out as possible. I think I'm going to do this differently with the next screen. I think I'm not going to do it in water. Okay, so we took the pulp and we had smooshed it down in the water, which you can see. Now, I didn't like doing it that way. So the next one I do is going to be different. But after you put it in the screen, you can use an old t-shirt. You know, I'm using a towel. And what you want to do, and you can see that I've already done some of this. But you put the towel in there. And then you take your iron, which is set on cotton, and you're basically drawing up some of that moisture out of it, and it's also smoothing it down so that you have the same thickness all the way around your toilet paper. Now you could sit here for a long time and iron out with fresh towels or t-shirts, whatever, and draw all that moisture out. See how nice and smooth that is? Nice and smooth. But what we're going to do is I'm going to do 2 of these frames, and then I'm going to set them out in the sun to dry. I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but we will give it a shot. And then I will come back on when we are ready to roll it into toilet paper. Thanks! So I want to show you what happened with our toilet paper making. So it did as it was supposed to. It hardened up. Try to get it out of the frame here. I had the other one out. But what's happening here, I'm just going to set the phone down a second, so give me a second. There we go. It's too thick. There we go. Alright. So it's too thick. Like this would not roll, and it like crumbles. So I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong with it. Like I would not want to use this for toilet paper. Okay, so this was our very first attempt. We are going to try this again, and I'm going to see how much thinner I can get it. This would never roll onto a tube. Okay, I mean it just crumbles. So remember that a lot of the stuff that we're doing is our first time, just like with the plantain salve. I still got to get the oil to wax ratio right. But it's definitely working. We're getting some reviews. You know, we gave it to some of our friends and family, and we said, you know, try it and let us know how it works. So far, we've gotten some pretty good reviews from it. This is not going to work. So I am going to attempt a bigger screen, obviously, because this doesn't make much. So I'm going to make a frame with the screen on it that will fill up like the size of a picnic table that I can iron out. And I'm going to try to get this as thin. And I don't know if it's because we had too big a chunks of toilet paper that we soaked, or if I just didn't iron it down enough, like press it flat enough. So that's where we're at with the toilet paper. Our first attempt did not work out, but you know, we're undeterred. We're still going to figure out how to do this, and hopefully I can show you a video where it actually worked out. So that's all I've got on that so far.